Okay, so today I'm going to be talking to Kath Docherty from C&M Accountants. She is a client of mine and we've done quite a bit of work together over the last couple of years. And I wanted to talk to her about her experiences of Covid-19 and the challenges that accountants have had over the last few months, but also the importance of brand. So, hi Kath, how are you doing?
Hi Philippa.
How's it been, this lockdown, over the last 3 months?
It's been very interesting. I don't think we've ever had a time like it where we've had to basically understand, learn on our feet and communicate, in a very sort of like articulate way to our clients. Just even the job retention scheme, the speed with which that support and legislation came out was quite amazing. So it's been interesting. It's been challenging because, of course, our business has also been affected by COVID. We've had to look after our staff as well and do remote working and support them mentally as well, so that they feel safe, they still feel supported, and look after the clients as well, on top of doing what I would call the day job, so making sure people's payrolls are run and VAT returns are run. So I think generally, the accountancy profession is, has gone through quite a unique period in terms of sort of like the workload to try and support their clients, because at the end of the day, we all want to come out of this together, to go on the next stage of our journey. So it's about supporting them in the right way so that they are ready when they come out and the lockdown eases.
So what has it been like day to day then? Have you had a lot of phone calls, a lot of hand holding required with your clients?
Yes, we set up a kind of like a help desk to try and manage the sheer volume of inquiries. So we had people manning that help desk specifically, and also of course we were getting telephone calls, and it's been quite difficult because, with the best will in the world, the legislation that has been and the support that has been announced, you will always have people where their circumstances have changed in the last year, or they are self-employed but also have property income, and there have been some clients where they have, so say, fallen down in between the cracks and they're not eligible for anything. And I think really it's about saying, well, okay, no, you don't qualify for that, but there are mortgage holidays, you won't have to pay your tax payment on account in July, your VAT payment is deferred. So there is some support there in terms of trying to manage cash flow over this difficult period. But personally, I just feel that we have probably had contact from, I'll just say 95% of our client base, all within basically kind of like that initial 3-week period. And, on the plus side, that's great because they've come to us first. It's given us an opportunity to chat to them, understand, what they're going through. But also, obviously, that is a logistical nightmare when you've got a team that's working remotely, trying to support everybody with their unique situations. So it's been, it's been quite stressful.
So that's really interesting, because you say it's been really nice to talk to your clients and have some time with them. But actually, a lot of accountants we've found, really struggle to pick up the phone and to have those conversations. They're not always kind of people, if you like. Mm-hmm. But I know that C&M has always been very forward looking. You've kind of thought about your brand and how you build a relationship with your clients. So you're maybe in a slightly better position. How do you sort of see that working, the brand of C&M, and just staying in touch with your clients?
I think basically it's the realization that one size does not fit all. So say, for instance, we were using social media to communicate, and of course that's not to our clients, that's to anybody who needed the support and the help. We set up the help desk. We use MailChimp to, again, communicate to clients, but always offered that opportunity of, we're here, pick up the phone. And I think for some clients, again, it's about people assimilate information in different ways and people learn in different ways. And quite frankly, sometimes people have just wanted to have a chat and just get things off their chest. And I think it's part of developing that relationship with the client that you are there. And I think also, you know, the key point is we haven't charged for any of this support or service. We've been doing the furlough claims for our clients because we're really, really passionate about making sure they get that money back in from the government. And we haven't charged anything. It's taken a huge amount of our resource, but it's about supporting them. I think it's about looking after each other, supporting them in a difficult time, and not being seen as somebody that's you know, taking advantage or opportunity of what's a difficult situation, because it's in our interest to make sure that they are, you know, that they're there for the long term. But yes, some people just, you know, they prefer to talk, to have the conversation by telephone, and I think it does, you know, I think it's something that's really important for those, you know, for those people, and for us, because actually, you know, it keeps us in the front of their mind, so that they know that they can come to us with questions. Because I always would rather that our clients come to us for information and support than try to get it from, you know, we're not their mate down the pub, but you know, Google or anything else, because then we know that they've got the right support that's, you know, personal for them.
Yeah. And how important was the work that you did around developing your brand? Because we obviously worked together. Yes. And I know that after that, you said that you felt a lot more confident in how you approached your clients and what you stood for. Did that prove to be useful in this period?
I think the key thing, not just in this period, but in general, I think the key thing for accountants is to understand why they're doing it, what are they actually offering, and who do they actually want to work with. Because at the end of the day, a lot of accountants, you know, they work very hard, they work very, very long hours, and sometimes it can seem quite a thankless job. And at the end of the day, we want to enjoy and, you know, sort of like get pleasure from our time at work. And that's why I think it is important that you are quite clear about what you are offering. So say, for instance, with C&M, we talked very much about we're compliant, and tax is a good thing, because if you are successful, you will be paying more tax. And it's quite interesting that through the COVID support measures, say for instance, you know, with the self-employed support scheme, if you have paid tax, then you are able to access that support. If you've potentially sort of decided to not declare some of your income, and to reduce the tax bill, then you may have struggled to access some of that support. And I think that, you know, that's a sort of like a lesson that's quite important. But I think also this period is going to be really interesting, because I think a lot of clients will be thinking, my accountant wasn't there for me, wasn't clear, didn't communicate, wasn't available, and also, it's a new world. We're all looking at the way that we do things. We're all looking at sort of like the services. Are we getting value for money? We're looking at relationships. And I'm thinking there's an opportunity here for people to be looking to potentially switch accountants. And I think also, you know, always when you are looking to take on clients, you need to be very clear about what you are looking for, and not be afraid to go, I'm sorry, but I don't think we're the right fit for you. Because otherwise, servicing clients that don't fit, and when I say don't fit, I mean don't fit in terms of they don't align with your values. So say for instance for us, you know, it's very sort of like a tax compliance. If you have clients that don't fit, it's not a very happy relationship, and you could end up over servicing that client to overcome those issues, and that's not fair on the clients that actually do fit and are very happy with, you know, the way that you want to run the business. So I think going forward, I think, you know, there may be a good opportunity where, you know, we've got new businesses looking to switch accountants, and we can be very clear about what we're looking for, and also what we're not looking for, because sometimes that's just as important. You know, we focus very much, I want, but actually you've got to be very clear about what you don't want, and I think be, you know, articulate about that. And that's the beauty of actually knowing, you know, sort of like where your brand is, what you're doing, the brand work, what you're looking for, how you're trying to develop the business, what is your typical type of client. If you have that, then you can be more focused. And I think, you know, that goes with clients, and that also goes with retention of new staff as well.
think that's really interesting. I did a survey recently among SMEs talking about the how their accountants fared over the COVID period, and there was lots of positivity. You know, a lot of accountants have worked really hard, but actually, one interesting stat, which reminds me, based on what you said about values, was 42% said that their accountants didn't necessarily share the same values as them, which I thought was quite an interesting one.
Yeah.
There are your dogs.
You know, that's a large number, but it's interesting that people have actually thought about that and come, you know, and sort of like said, actually, no, you know, we're not in alignment. And I think it's those people that will look to move, particularly if they don't think that they have been supported during the COVID period. And it was interesting because I've seen, I think it's tax assists have been very, very much pushing on their online social platform about, oh, you know, have you had the support that you think you deserved from your accountant? Come to us. So you can already see the accountancy profession is gearing up to you know, to sort of like make use of the fact that there will inevitably be some clients who have thought, this hasn't really worked for me. You know, maybe the relationship isn't working, and this is almost the straw that breaks the camel's back, and they see it as an opportunity to sort of like maybe go out and sort of like re-quote the services and look at establishing a new relationship.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I mean, I've had quite a lot of conversations with accountants around brand and also this conversation around trusted advisor and whether, you know, just because you're not talking numbers, you should be spending all of your time kind of developing something else and becoming an FD, for instance, which is all interesting stuff. I think over COVID, accountants have also said, well, maybe that's the wrong way to go, and maybe you just need to concentrate on doing your compliance and that bit really well. So I think there's a bit of a disconnect at the moment with the, you know, they're making tax digital where everything's becoming super efficient, and then talking about trusted advisor as well. And maybe people are getting the wrong end of the stick, because what you said with the brand work that you did, it was just about being a lot more confident and aware of what you want even, and how you can best serve your clients. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go down the FD route and completely change your service, but it does mean that you have your head screwed on a bit better.
Yes, I think it is definitely a flavour of the moment in terms of sort of like accountants looking to develop their you know, their business in terms of the advisory. And yes, you can understand you know, that could be perceived as being higher value and probably sort of like, you know, higher fee earning and that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, if you don't have the basics in place, none of that will actually happen. So we've just taken on a large client and we're doing the bookkeeping for them. And they already have an accountant based in Swansea, and they just wanted basically a local accountant to do all their bookkeeping, because what they're trying to do with their accountant is the variance analysis, you know, the cash flow management, the budgeting, the management reporting, and you know, previously they've just been sort of like packing everything up by post and sending it to Swansea. You know, we're going to put them onto Xero. We're going to use Receipt Bank. We're going to have a dedicated email address. You know, we're going to manage the bookkeeping. And actually, you know, I would say, well, that's the most important job. We get the glory there, because if you don't have robust numbers and everything all reconciled in the first place, you're not able to take that next step and actually go, so what does this mean? How do we develop the business? What do we need to change? And so I think you can't kind of like start chasing the higher value advisory stuff unless you have that, what I would call bedrock of compliance in place. And at the end of the day, I think compliance has had a bit of a bad press recently because, you know, there's this assumption that, well, clients don't really appreciate it. They don't really see that it's adding value. You know, they go, well, yeah, we just need it to do the accounts and the tax return and that kind of stuff. But that isn't always the case. Yes, of course, you know, you need that to do the accounts and the tax return, but also, you know, it's so you understand what VAT do you have to pay? What's your corporation tax? And these are all going to be really, really important, I think, for businesses in the next couple of weeks and months as they start to come out of lockdown, to understand what's happening with their cash. And so there's never been a better time, I think, for accountants to support business with sort of like cloud platforms and bank feeds and making sure that all of that is up to date. The good old fashioned sort of like compliance stuff, I think, is very much alive and kicking. And there will be huge changes coming in over the next year with tax. You cannot give this amount of support without funding that somehow. And so we will be there, and that will be what we would, I guess, call box standard tax planning. But that will be very, very important for a lot of our clients to understand how moving forward things are going to change.
So finally, what would you advise those accountants who have maybe kind of struggled through the period? I mean, it seems like the work that you've done and what you know now about what you need and what you want, etc., has stood you in good stead, really, over this period. And you know what your clients need, etc. What would you advise them to do in the next, 90 days, just to think about their business moving forward?
I think if you've never done that work in terms of just looking at why did I set up? Why did I sort of like go into accountancy? Why did I sort of like want to work with numbers and sort of like work with people? What type of person am I? What do I want to get out of the business? These are all really, the so what question is really, really important, because at the end of the day, when you are a small business owner, you can't help but your personality and everything that has led you to that moment, it just penetrates your business. And I think it's important to understand that. Where do you get your energy and your drive from? And I think the journey that you've been on is almost as important as where you end up. And you and I have had the discussion about sort of like, what's your story? What's the journey? What's led you to this moment? What led you to decide that you wanted to become an accountant? What led you to decide actually you were going to put yourself in a little spotlight and go, we're not going to promise the lowest tax bills and we're not going to be the cheapest accountants, because we're going to make sure that you're completely compliant and you're paying the right amount of tax. That takes some degree of confidence to put your head above the parapet and buck the trend with all the other promises of a lower tax bill. And I think it's that reflection of, this is why I started, actually then, that is the energy that drives you to developing your business and establishing those relationships with your clients and being articulate. And I think being honest with the clients, particularly new clients from the beginning, and just say, look, this is me, this is why I started, this is how I like to run the business. We're not for everybody. There is absolutely no shame in actually going, we're not going to fit everybody. And that was some of the best advice that I was ever given by my business coach, was you don't fit everybody, but that's absolutely fine, because the people that you do fit are going to really appreciate and value you.
Kath, thank you very much. That was really interesting. Kath Docherty of C&M Accountants, thank you.